When I go to prison, all I've got is, hi, my name's Nicky, and I don't know what God's going to do after that. That's all I've got. Although you prepare your heart and you prepare your gift, and wherever you are, if you will open your mouth and trust God, He will fill it. Yeah. So a little bit of background about me. I had some intersection with the Baptist Church as a young girl in my teens and gave my heart to the Lord there. I came from a family who weren't Christian, and then I met my husband Dave in that Baptist youth group and had made eyes at him for about 6 years till finally he noticed me. And we've been married 28 years now. So we have 2 children. I was very reluctant to have children. It was one thing, you know how you say, yes, God, I love you, but don't send me to Africa. Mine was, I won't have children or do any study. And so when God got hold of me at age 28, I said, okay, God, I want what you want. I want the whole lot. Even if it means something that's not what I'd ever do. And he said, good, I want you to have 2 babies and you'll be a nurse. So I laid down my music that I'd done in my own strength, and which I'd done piano for 12 years and lots of things like that, and laid it down. And over a period of time, with family support and Dave's support, I became a nurse and had 2 children during my nursing course. But suffice to say, I got fairly run down over that time. And we moved away to Pukekohe, which is where they spray all day, all night. They grow vegetables. And I became very sick from the spray. It was chemical poisoning. And that looked like boils all over my body. That looked like rash, like sunburn, for 4 years, all over my body. And my skin fell off and my hair fell out. I had fluid shift. I didn't sleep hardly at night. And I thought I knew God, but I cried out like never before. And you know what I cried out? Show me that you love me, and show me that you're real, okay? And so what he would do would be like, oh, Nicky, I've got a song for you, but God, can you just heal me? And he'd be like, I've got another song for you. It goes like this. And by the way, I want you to sing your songs, and I want you to record them because they're going to help other people. And in that deep darkness, I cried out again and again, and he just gave me song after song after song. And he said, actually, Nicky, I'm giving you back your music, but you're going to do it for me now. So don't you be stealing my glory now. So I ended up singing for him. And I couldn't even really get up. But people knew, like a Glow, it's a group of ladies and some gentlemen who love God, an interdenominational group. I had a neighbour next door who was a member, and they secretly prayed for me. And they prayed me out of bed, and they prayed me into their group, and they prayed that God would heal me and restore me, which is what happened. It took 4 years. But I was radically healed in hospital with 2 teams of doctors working on me, and they couldn't explain what happened when I had a prayer of faith healing. So that was 2009. I got radically restored. But in those hours of darkness, God had put in my heart a dream to go to the darkest places that no one else wants to go. But I didn't know what that looked like. Go to the highways and the byways. Go alone. You'll be alone. You'll be lonely. But don't worry, he says. I'll be with you. We'll be really close. So over time, a deep desire developed for prison. And so I went along after a few years of praying and a few arguments with God. He jacked it up. So I went to Spring Hill and played guitar as a worship person in a team from Pukekohe while I'd moved back to Hamilton by now. And I played the wrong song in the wrong key at the wrong time with a really lousy guitar, and I didn't sing very well. And but when I went in, I felt 10 foot tall and bulletproof. I felt invincible. I was tired. I was just tired from life and being a mum and trying to hold down a job. And I'd go in there and something amazing would happen every time with the wrong song in the wrong key at the wrong time. And these guys would fall down on their knees and go, surely there is a God. Surely I have to give my life to him. I'm just the worship lady. Someone else is preaching. And every time something amazing happened. Anyway, I had to lay it down because I was still working shift work as a nurse, and it went underground, that deep desire. You know, if you have a desire from God and it gives you a taste, he can take it away, but it's given you a taste, and you go underground, and your desire is for him and for his purposes. And that's what he did, like a coal fire burning in my heart. And it resurfaced. He said, I'm going to take it from you, but Nicky, I'm going to give it back to you wholesale. It's not just going to be a little bit on the side. It's going to be your main thing. So 6 years ago, when I was releasing the 4th and 5th album that he gave me, he told me to go to prison, pubs, clubs, and where people play, to release that album. So I dragged my husband and kids around the South Island, and some of the North Island, but mostly the South Island, and we went throughout. And I got into Rolleston prison on one day and did 4 shows. Once again, I had a lousy guitar and a Casio tone keyboard that didn't work very well, and nothing was really working. And something happened in those guys, something incredible. I can't even explain how amazing it was. They cried, they laughed, they sobbed. Something happened to them. And the chaplain there said, you need to do this in all the prisons, Nicky. And I kind of got a bit freaked out, so I didn't do too much about it for a little while. And then one day, I'd had a lousy day in my evening in my day job as a nurse, and I woke up in the morning and I cried and I moaned and I complained and I said, God, what are you doing about my stinky job? And you know, my heart was open. I was talking to him, and he was able to translate that into, God, I want what you want. What are you doing in me? And so I started praying, what are you saying about the prison? Oh, what are you saying about the prison? There's something happening in my heart about the prison. And I prayed, and then I cried. I couldn't even dress myself. I couldn't eat. And I called up a prayer warrior, someone who prays for me, and said, can you pray? So they prayed for 45 minutes. They'd been driving their car. They had to stop on the side of the road and talk and pray for half an hour, 45 minutes. And they said, God's going to tell you today what he's saying about the prison. So I ended up, my friend turned up as prearranged, which I forgot. And she came and she dressed me and she took me out and she said, where shall we go today? I don't know. All I know is God's talking to me about the prison and I don't know what he's saying. And she said, well, where should we go? Come on, we'll go somewhere. To the cafe? I said, no, we can go to the warehouse. Buy a panda. So we went to the warehouse and we bought a giant panda because that's all I could think about. So we went there, and it wasn't the first warehouse, it was the second warehouse we drove past. And while I was holding this giant panda, see, God's in it, eh? God's in it. I'm holding this beacon. We still have the panda, actually, sitting on our couch today. And this man comes up to me across the store. He was a big man, and he had dreads and tats, and he's like, hey, lady, I seen you in Rolleston. Yeah, I'm out now. And I was like, oh, that's nice, you know, and just quite taken aback, you know. And we met his lady, he had a nice lady with him, and okay. And then he says, I have no reason to be in the wari-whari today except to say that God is calling you into all the prisons. You go as you are. You don't take the man. He says, the workers are few, the harvest is ripe. You go, girl. You sing your song and you tell your story, and Jesus jumped in my heart the day that you came. He jumped in a third of the hearts of the guys in my unit the day you came. That's just one unit. You go, girl. And I just cried, I hugged him, I kissed him, and I just felt a bit and went, yes, Jesus, I'm going to do it. Okay, then. So that was 6 years ago that I first went to the prison. And then for the last 5 years, I've been intensively touring. That looks like praying. That looks like teams and teams and teams of people praying, people I don't even know praying. It's all prayer. That's how it happens. It's impossible. You know, it's almost impossible to get into one prison, to visit one prisoner, let alone to go into one prison and visit 4 units a day. And so there's 18 prisons, 3 ladies' prisons, 1 Serco prison now. I was in the Mount Eden Serco before it got taken over by corrections. That was the scariest time, actually. That was the only time it was scary. The rest of the times it's all been lovely. So when I finished in September, October last year, it had been 5 years, usually about a month on the road at a time. And I've had, the odd time I've had a roadie come with me who is a prayer warrior, often an older, a wiser, mature lady who comes with me. But last time, in prayer and in faith, we managed to get 5 roadies to accompany me over the 5 weeks. And they would come alongside for a while, drive me, carry the bags, make sure I eat, drink, just that I'm okay, and pray on the inside in the prison. They can see what the strategies of the enemy are while I'm in prison, because there's a lot of strategies: distraction, confusion, trying to unsettle, trying to make the sound go funny, you know, the atmospheric distractions, like a sound jumps into my keyboard, jumps out of that into one of the speakers, jumps into the guitar, a rattle, a noise, like just freaky stuff. All the power goes off in the prison, power cut, well, just as I'm about, or partway through a concert, and I say, okay, prisoners, we're going to pray. We're going to pray, the sound goes back. And who wants their concert? We do, miss. Okay, you be praying. So we're going to pray. And we command the sound to come back. And guess what? Power comes back on. One time, a chaplain actually quite badly damaged his leg while we were going in. He got the trolley ran over his foot somehow, and he damaged it earlier as well, and he couldn't walk. He was limping, and I said to the guys, "Look, you guys, this is your padre." They call him padres. He's your padre. But most of them don't know the Lord. I'm like, you better pray that his foot gets healed so he can do a good job. And they're like, okay. And I'm like, who's going to pray for him? I said, I'll pick somebody. And so I did. Turns out he doesn't know the Lord at all. He stood up and said, oh God, heal the chaplain. In Jesus' name, okay, bye. Yeah. And you know what? The chaplain's leg healed much faster. He got through the day and healed much faster than it could at the doctor's. I kept in touch with him, and it was much faster than a natural healing. And you know what? They kept checking on their padre. How's your leg, padre? That prisoner be prayed for. You know, raise faith. This particular chaplain used to say, you're just, there's nothing that will stop you from just saying whatever God puts in your heart. You'll just speak it out. You'll speak out whatever the word is of the Lord. So, in faith, I do a gospel show. So that looks like usually about 10 songs. It's I use some of the world songs that the Lord touches, like Knocking on Heaven's Door. I say, who's the guy on the door of the pub? Who's that guy? Now, if you know him, do you get into the pub? Oh yeah, he lets me in. Okay, so you know the guy on the door to heaven? Is he going to let you in? Oh yeah. Get to know that guy. Then we sing Knocking on Heaven's Door. You know what? They're all thinking about the guy on the door of heaven. So I say, this is what a song means to me. This is what the Lord spoke to me about this. And I sing it. I'm not saying this is what you must do. I'm saying this is how he spoke to me. And I encourage them to turn to him. I sing original songs of hope and favour of God and how much he can move and change us. And most recently, in the last couple of years, I've written 2 albums that were released last year, and one of them was ex-prisoners' life redemption stories made into songs. Okay, so there's 10 guys and 10 ladies, and so they, in their journey, they have been in prison. At some point, they gave their life to the Lord, always at prison or after prison, and they're completely living for him, hard out. They might be grassroots, just the guy next door kind of thing. It might be actually right up to having government level interactions now, you know, where they're able to sway government to make decisions for the community, for the good of God, for the good of the people. So 5 guys, 5 ladies, and I was prayerfully, the Lord showed me to actually use or ask people who are appropriate culturally and gender appropriate. So a Māori man, I had 3 Māori gentlemen songs. I got 3 separate gentlemen to sing the songs. Some of the guys who sang the songs, who are all, some of them were inside longer than the guy whose song it was about. They can totally relate to the story. There's so many amazing things. I'll give you some highlights of the last tour. So, I'm in Wanganui prison, pushing my trolley in with all the gear on, because I take quite a lot of gear: guitar, bass guitar, acoustic guitar, piano, and a sound system, and microphones, and boxes and cases and stuff. So we're pushing that in, and then there's this prisoner in the courtyard pushing out his hazard trolley the other way, and he goes, "Oh, hey, Nicky," and I'm like, random prisoner, "Oh, hey," and he's like, hey, you were in Rolleston last year. We're presently in Wanganui. Yeah, and I got you to pray for my son, and he had cancer. Hey, and he went to the doctor, and 2 weeks later, they got no cancer. Can't explain it. Okay. So the prisoner got somebody to pray with him for his son. Inside, and they were healed on the outside. And so I said to him, that's a testimony to all the people that are praying hard out for us, you know, for me to go in and for the prisoners that they have breakthrough and favour. And his faith is like to hear. Another guy, I did some community shows last time, 6 community concerts, to a little bit like this, explain what's happening, but a lot more of the music-y part. And one guy came up to me he said, I was in Parimurimo prison 2 years ago. I saw you. I hadn't been in for 2 years, I only just got back in. And he said, you came and did your gospel show? I'd been inside 20 years. He was a young guy and he looked about 35. I've been in 20 years. My original sentence was much shorter than that, but I kept using these inside. Always got myself into trouble. I don't need to use these anymore. He said, you did your gospel show, something happened to us, we formed our own gospel band. I'm out now, everything's all good, you know, for his life. He's made a big transition, really clean looking, clean living young man. And it's just a testimony to what can inspiration do when you go in. My message that I take into prison, the Lord showed me I'm not a salesperson closer like I used to be. I was a Yellow Pages salesperson for some time. And he said, you're not a closer anymore, Nicky. You're an opener. Open them up to me. Let them see who I am. Let them see how much I love them. Sing it into their heart. Speak it into their heart. Demonstrate it by your love for me. Go and do that. And so I say to them, if you know the Lord, go hard. There's so much more to know. There's so much more of him. He's got so much more in store for you. If you used to know the Lord and you slipped somewhere back there somewhere, he says, arms open wide, come back to Father. Come back. And if you don't know the Lord, check him out and look him up. He is good. He is so good. He says, taste and see that I am good. And so, and I'd say even test him with something. Ask him for something really, really good, like a friend. Or wisdom to do the right thing. Or how about this? How about, put some forgiveness in my heart so I can give it out to that person that hurt me the most. That doesn't even deserve it, Lord. That I can let go and I can move on and I can forgive and you'll forgive me all my sins as I forgive those who sin against me. One time I demonstrated that in the youth unit in Hawke's Bay Regional Prison. Just like I did just now, you know what? And this guy got up at the end of the concert and he says, I've got to say something right now. So these are 17 and 18-year-old prisoners. There's about 20 in the room. He gets up and he says, I got someone hurt me real bad. You know what? And it's you. And he pointed to the person in the room. I was like, oh, where's this going, God? This doesn't seem too good. We don't want to riot. And he goes, but something happened when that lady sang her songs and did something. I don't know what it is, but man, I forgive you, bro. I forgive you for what you did to me. I was going to beat the snot out of you after she left. That's what I was planning to do. But I'm not now, because something happened in my heart. And you know the boy over there? He goes, I'm so sorry I hurt you. I'm so sorry. And he gets up, they hug, and they cry together, and the whole room is moved. They are so moved. Another time, the song you've been singing about, the Lord is with us in our mourning, in our sorrows, and in our joy. Because some of the times, the real intense times, just before a massive breakthrough in prison, I am attacked in my physical body. The pain and torment come, and all through the night, I barely sleep at all, and yet I've learned that joy is going to come in the morning. Almost to the point of suffocation. I've been strangled all through the night, all in my dreams, and I wake up and I'm actually having a massive asthma attack. I don't even have asthma. But massive breakthroughs in the morning with the prisoners. So another time at that same Hawke's Bay prison, in the same unit the year before, when I was tormented all through the night, in the morning, A boy gets up at the end of my concert. They're all sitting there like stunned mullets, like, they're like, did anything get in? Did something happen? And he gets up and he says, I have to say something. So he gets up and he's scared stiff and he said, when I was a little boy, my nana took me to church and I heard God speak to me then. I could hear him out loud. And I haven't ever heard him until just now. I just heard him speak to me now when that lady was singing. And he told me I have to get up and sing a song. He got up and sang a song. It was The Well, which is talking about coming to Jesus. He sang that song. And anyway, I left that unit and had to go in my van. I drive around inside the prisons with permission, load up the van and drive up to another unit. They're not connected. The prisoners can't go from the youth unit to the older person's unit. I get to the next unit and they said, what did you do to that boy in the youth unit? Literally, I just drove my car straight, like it's 2 minutes? And I said, what do you mean, what did I do? We heard he was shaking on down. He was shaking on down in the courtyard. Like, all over the place. Is he having a fit? What's happening? I said, no, Holy Ghost got hold of him. And they said, can you do that to us as well? And they all ran forward, and I wasn't even set up to start my concert. They're like, we want what he's got. Can we have that? And I don't even know how they heard about it. They're all locked up. Somebody's walking from this unit to that unit saying, guess what? I just saw, you know? So it's like little mini revivals. I've had guys come to me, I turn up like in Rimutaka. They think they're tough in Rimutaka. They go, aren't you scared of us? I'm like, oh, should I be? You seem like nice guys. We'll just be friends by the end of this. And they're like, oh, okay. You know, and other times I've had walls of intimidation come at me where the manager didn't want me to come in, but the head guy above him did. Okay, so you've got opposition. You've got opposition in the heavenlies. There's a wrestling, and so I've gone in there, and a wall of opposition where they've all just been like, and making animal noises and just like really, really intimidating. And I said, what do I do, God? He says, you stand your ground. So I stood there behind my piano. They're all a lot closer than you are. They're like just very close. And so then I got to start. What do I do now, God? And he says, you just love me fiercely before them. So I sang the first 3 songs like a haka, all the way through. And they would just be, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. By the 4th song, that's the Jesus song, that's an original, they would it just went right into their hearts, they just melted. Another time I wasn't permitted to go into the main building. They said, we don't want your concert here. This was from on high. You can go into this tiny little toilet-sized room and do your concert in there. So I went into the tiny little room. Guys saw angels in that room. There was only about 7 people in there, and they were freaked out. They go, what's that? I can see this bright shining thing, and it's smiling at me. What is it? It's huge. And it's like, another guy could hear angels, guy could see angels, and the guys outside wanted to come to the concert. They weren't allowed. And you know what? They were in an outside running kind of, there was grill and grate, and they would come up, do their run to the fence, and they'd look in, and then another one would come in and look in, and all the windows were open. It was really cold, but we opened all the windows, and we spoke that the airwaves would travel, that all the guys in the courtyard that wanted to could hear it. The message would go in. Amazing things happen. There's more breakthrough every year in that unit. It's not easy, but it's good. Go after the things of God. They're not easy, but they're good. He's given me 341 behind bar concerts in the last 5 years. So it's been such a pleasure. It's my greatest heart, it's my greatest desire to go and tell prisoners that they're beautiful, that Jesus is calling them, that there's hope for them, even if they never leave. And I go into the units where they'll never leave, sometimes because they're too old or too sick. But if you love Jesus and you share that love with those around you, your life is so precious and so useful and so valuable. God is going to use every moment of your life, and He's going to take you home to be with Him. They just glow. They just glow from the inside out, and they change. Something breaks off them. If you speak beauty into people, what you see, what God planted in them, you say, I want to see. I can see beauty in your heart. I want to see more. of that light in you. And they go, really? Can you see that in me? I'm like, yes, I can. And they say, I want that. I want to see that too. I want to be that. If you speak ugly into people, if you just speak what you see on the outside and you don't speak what God planted in their heart, they're going to become like the ugly that you spoke over them. So I encourage you, even though it might be hard and challenging, in every person that you meet, ask God to show you the beauty and speak to that. In every person, no matter how annoying they may be, to speak that. In my day job, I now work with people who have mental health conditions. I'm a mental health nurse 2 days a week. And I work with people that have committed some serious crime because I was praying, God, it's not enough that you've just given me prison for my ministry. Can I have that in my day job as well? Because you love rapists and murderers, God. You don't love what they do, but you love their heart. And you know that they were broken in some way, shape or form. And hurting people hurt. Would you help me to love them back to you? And so in my day job, I've been there 3 years now. I work in a place where that's my regular day job. And so that is such a blessing to be part of that. So just all honour and praise and glory to God. I'd like to sing you a song, maybe just one. We've got time for one song? Sing a song of the Life, it's called Dark Life album. This is the redemption songs and stories of actual prisoners. So this particular person, he'd been in jail 3 times in his life. There'd been drugs involved. He actually tried to abort one of his babies, but the Lord showed him, don't do it. And he was able to give up his drugs. He even just cried out one night, can you do something for a guy like me? His name is Arthur Parks. The day that he cried out, can you do something for a guy like me? The Lord broke all smoking and all addiction off his body. For 2 years he couldn't do anything, and it took him 2 more years before he actually submitted to God and said, okay, I want you to be Lord of my life. I want to give my whole life to you. And at that point, he entered into the kingdom of God. He was led to go and be with a pastor dude who taught him the things of God. He has now become a pastor at that church, and now he used to volunteer in the prison in Hawke's Bay as a voluntary person, and they insisted that he apply to be a chaplain. So he's now a pastor and a chaplain in the Hawke's Bay region, where he used to also be a prisoner in those prisons back then. So this is his story. This is his song. It's the song of Arthur. So I'll just come and sing.